Imagine writing a 1.4 million word book.
Right, like 12 full chapters.
Yeah, 12 chapters plus an hour and 41 minutes of audio narration. And now imagine doing all of that for exactly $0.
And without typing a single word yourself.
Exactly. I mean, today we are looking at this massive stack of source material. It's a 7-day manifesto that essentially, well, it declares the traditional craft of writing totally dead.
It really does.
We are jumping straight into the deep end of the pool today because, as you know, it is May 2026. The internet has just fundamentally shifted under our feet over the last 2 years.
Oh, absolutely.
And the basic idea of what a quote-unquote writer actually does inside a company is being entirely rewritten.
Yeah, the material we are analyzing today comes from a strategist named Brett Kerr from ACRA Insight. And honestly, calling it a manifesto almost, it kind of undersells the gravity of it.
It sounds like a political document or something.
Right, but it's not. It's a highly strategic document backed by a working industrial-scale demo. And it's aimed at one central thesis, which is that the content function within any business is no longer about writing, editing, or like creative brainstorming.
Right.
It is now entirely about software engineering.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because if you are listening to this deep dive, you might be prepping for a marketing meeting or trying to figure out where your job is heading in the age of AI.
Or maybe you're just insanely curious about how the web actually works now.
Exactly. So we are going to explore this entirely new audience for content, this wild concept of an AI-driven newsroom, and how Kerr actually built that automated book to prove his point.
Yeah, the demo is crazy.
It is. But we have to start by dismantling the old metaphor. Day 1 of his manifesto hits you with this line. He says, the content function is not like software anymore. It is software.
Which is just a total collapse of the vocabulary we've used for, the last 30 years?
Yeah, easily.
Think about how a content team used to operate. It was very much a craft. You had an editorial calendar on a Notion board.
Oh, yeah, the classic Notion board.
Right. And a content management system like WordPress, and maybe like a Friday stand-up meeting. The process was strictly linear. Highly human. You write a brief, draft it, edit it, publish it.
Right, the classic assembly line. But Kerr says that chain has been completely replaced by what he calls a deterministic build pipeline.
Which sounds like heavy software engineering jargon, I know.
Because it is.
Because it is, exactly. The steps are no longer brief, draft, edit. The steps are now get this ingest source material, embed and index that data, retrieve and synthesize it, generate multi-surface outputs, computationally verify it against the truth, and then deploy.
It's just a whole different world. I mean, we are moving away from the CMS entirely toward what platforms like Sanity are calling a content operating system.
Yes.
And the humans who used to be called writers, they are now build orchestrators.
I want to really ground this for everyone listening, because he didn't just write a theoretical blog post about this shift. He built a staggering proof of concept.
Yeah, the book.
Right. He launched a site called contextjamming.com. It is a comprehensive book detailing the first 5 years of the AI company Anthropic.
Which is a huge topic on its own.
Massive. And to build it, his system ingested 727 deep research artifacts.
That's like pulling in hundreds of massive documents.
Yeah, 1.4 million words of source material. The system chewed on that and output 12 polished chapters plus local narration.
Okay, but the economics of that deployment are the real story here, because he hosted this entirely on the Vercel Edge network, and the whole package takes up, what, about 190 megabytes?
Yeah, roughly 190 megabytes.
Hold on. For those of us not deep in the dev world or, managing Amazon server bills, what is the actual cost here? Because normally running AI over 1.4 million words would bankrupt a small team in API fees.
Well, that is the brilliance of it. The recurring inference costs, the fee you pay every time the AI's brain has to think and generate an output was exactly $0.
$0. That's insane.
Zero. He utilized local models and open source text-to-speech technologies. The intelligence ran locally on his own hardware without phoning home to OpenAI or Anthropic and racking up a bill.
Right, so he basically built a software product whose front-end feature surface just happens to look like an editorial book.
Precisely.
So, okay, if the old way of content marketing was like a bunch of artisanal carpenters in a local wood shop where everyone is just hand-carving their own little chair.
I like that analogy.
Thanks. What Kerr is describing with this agentic content infrastructure is more like a fully automated, lights-out robotics factory.
That's exactly what it is.
But how did we get this factory so fast? I mean, 2 years ago, in 2024, we were just typing prompts into ChatGPT.
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the structural turning point was December 2025.
Okay, what happened then?
Anthropic released the Agent Skills Open Standard, and within 90 days of that release, 32 different development tools had adopted it.
I am struggling to picture this a bit. Like back in 2024, if I wanted an AI to do something, I typed a prompt into a chat box and got some text back. Are you saying these agent skills let the AI essentially, I don't know, click buttons and open folders on my computer by itself?
That is the perfect way to visualize it, yeah.
Yeah.
We moved from single-shot retrieval to multi-step execution.
Oh,
The Agent Skills Standard allowed AI models to natively execute complex tasks based on procedural knowledge that's stored in structured folders.
so it's not just talking.
No, the AI wasn't just chatting anymore. It was loading instructions, deciding on a sequence of actions, and literally pulling levers in the background to build things.
Okay, so we have this massive robotics factory churning out content, but a factory needs a consumer, and here is where Kerr's strategy gets slightly terrifying for traditional writers.
Because humans aren't the primary consumer anymore.
Right. Your content has two audiences now, and the most important one is a crawler.
And this is backed by serious academic rigor, by the way. Kerr points to a KDD 2024 peer-reviewed paper from researchers at Princeton.
Okay.
They defined a structural shift called GEO, Generative Engine Optimization,
Generative engine optimization. So basically the evolution of SEO.
a radical evolution.
Oh.
The Princeton researchers studied how to get content cited inside AI-generated answers.
Right, like when a user asks Perplexity or ChatGPT a question, and it synthesizes a paragraph with those little footnote links to its sources.
Exactly. The paper found that specific GEO tactics can boost a site's visibility in those generative responses by up to 40%.
40% is huge. And for websites that were struggling, say, ranked fifth on a traditional search engine results page, I read that these tactics increased their visibility in AI answers by a massive 115.1%.
Yeah, over double. It is a structural opportunity to completely leapfrog the dominant player in your industry.
But why does that matter so much to the bottom line?
The financial incentive to do that leapfrogging is impossible to ignore. Look at the case study Kerr includes from Sierra Interactive. They analyzed a B2B client and found that referral traffic coming from ChatGPT converted into actual customers at a rate of 15.9%.
If you are listening to this and you currently manage a company blog or drive revenue for brand, this is the moment to sit up. Let's compare that 15.9%. What's the baseline?
Google organic traffic for that exact same client converted at just 1.76%.
That is a staggering difference. I mean, a nearly 16% conversion rate means that high-intent users are no longer searching Google. They are literally just asking AIs for answers.
Right. And if the AI chooses to cite your company, that user is incredibly likely to buy.
Because they trust the AI synthesis.
Exactly. The crawlers feeding those AIs are taking over the web. Just between May 2024 and May 2025, OpenAI's GPT bot surged from making up 5% of all AI crawler traffic to 30%.
So the machines are actively reading the internet nonstop to build their internal knowledge bases.
Yes. Which means the new unit of optimization is no longer the web page. A web page is just a delivery wrapper. We now have to optimize for extractable claims.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Wait. If we are building factories to optimize for robots extracting claims, are we totally abandoning the human reader? Like, does anyone actually read the narrative of a page anymore, or are we just throwing raw data at a crawler?
You aren't abandoning the human, but you are radically restructuring the human's reading experience so the robot can digest it perfectly.
Make it easy for the machine.
Right. The Princeton validated tactics Kerr outlines are highly specific. You need what they call statistics density.
What does that look like?
You can't just write, most marketing teams struggle with AI. The crawler hates that. You have to write 76% of enterprise marketing teams cite AI integration as their primary bottleneck, and then clearly name the source.
So very precise.
Very. You also need inline quotes from named authoritative experts.
It sounds less like marketing copy and more like rigorous, almost academic journalism.
It really is a return to dense factual reporting. But layered with structural code underneath, you have to ensure entity clarity using something called JSON LD.
Let's translate that for a second. JSON LD is basically structured data code. I like to think of it as putting name tags on everything for a robot.
That's a good way to put it.
The code clearly tells the AI, hey, This string of text is a person, this string is an organization, and this section over here is an FAQ.
That is exactly what it does. And on top of those name tags, you write 40 to 60 word extractable answer capsules sitting right under your headers.
Answer capsules.
Yeah, and these capsules have to pass what Kerr calls the information island test.
Meaning they make complete factual sense if an AI rips them out of your page, strips away all the surrounding context, and shows them to a user in total isolation.
Precisely. If it doesn't stand alone, it fails. And there's an even deeper infrastructure move required here, the elms.txt file.
Right, so historically, websites have a robots.txt file to tell search engines which pages they are allowed to look at. The elms.txt file is like a secret VIP menu specifically for large language models. It explicitly maps out the most factual, dense content on your site for them to ingest.
And it is a massive early mover advantage right now. As of November 2025, an SE ranking study found that only 10.13% of domains even had one of these files.
Wow, just 10%.
Yeah. Serving a clean elms.txt at the root of your website essentially rolls out the red carpet for the GPT bot.
Okay, so we are building a software factory to produce highly structured, perfectly cited, extractable claims for AI crawlers.
Right.
If humans are still involved in making this, which you say they are, what is their actual role? Because Kurt points out a brutal reality in the 2025 and 2026 job market.
Oh, the hiring crunch.
Yeah, hiring managers are writing job descriptions where they secretly want the output of a 5-person content team, but they only want to pay one human operator.
It's rampant. And the typical lazy assumption is, we'll just give that one human ChatGPT so they can type faster.
Just make them a faster typist.
Right, but Kerr argues that is entirely the wrong paradigm.
Yeah.
The real solution is a production methodology he calls the MOE loop.
MOEA.
Yes, a mixture of expert agents. It essentially turns one human into a multi-agent newsroom.
So it's not one AI doing everything. It is 4 distinct epistemic roles locked in a loop. Let's walk through how this actually works in practice, because this blew my mind when I read it.
It's super clever. Let's imagine you need to publish a deep dive report on financial markets. Role 1 is the orchestrator.
Okay, who's that?
In Kerr's system, this is the AI model Claude. It runs the pipeline, reads all the source material you ingested, and generates the initial drafts. It is the workhorse.
But AI hallucinates. We all know that. So you don't just publish what the orchestrator writes, right?
No, absolutely not. You pass it to role 2, which is the auditor. Kerr uses a separate instance of Claude for this, specifically the Opus model. Its only job is to read the text totally cold, hunting for weak claims, broken code, or hallucinations.
So it's double-checking the first one?
Yeah, but take that a step further, because role 3 is where the real friction happens. Role 3 is the adversary.
The adversary. I love that name.
It's great. Kerr specifically uses a different company's model, Google's Gemini, for this.
Ah, switching models.
Yeah. The adversary's entire job is to stress test the argument. It runs adjacent web searches and actively looks for counter evidence to prove the orchestrator wrong.
I just love this concept. He essentially built a digital comment section to troll his own AI before it publishes.
Pretty much.
I mean, imagine the orchestrator drafts a paragraph claiming a company's revenue doubled. The auditor flags it as a bold claim. Then the Gemini adversary goes hunting for the actual SEC filings to prove the orchestrator is hallucinating.
And what's fascinating here is that the governance model is what creates the value. Having 2 different AI models with different underlying architectures argue with each other, it ensures an incredibly rigorous fact-checking process. And that leads to the final role, role 4, which is the human.
Right. The human is called the editorial membrane. Think of it like an editor-in-chief sitting at a desk with a literal kill switch.
Exactly.
Out in the newsroom, all the beat reporters, fact-checkers, and critics are hyper-intelligent robots screaming at each other. The human doesn't write the draft. The human governs the machine. They own the voice, the taste, and they have the final veto.
That governance is critical because hallucination is not just a quirky user experience problem anymore. When you are generating a 1.4 million word book, a hallucination is an existential risk to your credibility.
One wrong number could ruin the whole thing.
Right. To solve this, Kerr's system includes a verification layer. Before anything goes live, every single quoted passage passes through a substring match verbatim verifier.
Let's explain why that is so necessary. AI models work by probability, right? They're constantly predicting the next word.
Yeah, tokens.
So if you ask an AI to quote a document, it might accidentally change a comma or swap a word because it thinks a different word is more probable. It is notoriously bad at verbatim quoting.
Terrible at it.
So Kerr had to build a hard-coded, non-AI script to physically cross-reference the text strings.
The code automatically checks the exact string of text in the draft against the original source document. It ensures it hasn't been altered by a single character.
So the trust is enforced by the code pipeline, not added after the fact by some tired human proofreader.
Exactly. And because that trust is hard-coded, he can run what he calls the triple transformation pipeline.
Oh, right, the outputs.
Yeah. One XML research brief goes in, and the MoE-O loop simultaneously emits 3 perfect verified artifacts: a long-form article for Substack, a coded JSON file for an interactive infographic, and a social media thread, all in one pass.
Unbelievable. But with a system this automated and complex, the natural reaction is to try and map it onto tools we already know.
Right, people want a familiar box to put it in.
But Kerr spends day 6 of his manifesto defining this new category by aggressively stating what it is not. He argues that the term AI content marketing has just lost all meaning.
It really has. He draws some very strict boundaries. First, he says it is not prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is a single-shot request. What we are looking at is version-controlled procedural knowledge.
Big difference. Second, it is not ChatGPT for marketers. We all lived through that wave in 2024 and 2025, where hundreds of startups just slapped a nice user interface on top of OpenAI's API.
Yeah, this is completely different. It's native orchestration at the structural level of the business.
And third, it is not agentic SEO. I found this fascinating because a prominent strategist named Kevin Indig coined the term agentic SEO, and he accurately predicted that AI would start executing tasks.
Yes, Indig was right about the agents.
But Kerr says his category sits one architectural layer higher.
Indig's concept focuses heavily on the SEO outputs, using agents to rank better on search. Kerr argues that the entire content function itself must be rebuilt as software, and SEO is just one downstream consumer of that software. It's a much broader operational shift.
Okay, so what does this all mean for a business today? If a company just goes out and buys a unified platform like Sanity, do they instantly have this agentic content infrastructure? Or is this really about a mindset shift?
It's the mindset.
Because he also explicitly says this is not simple content automation like Zapier.
Buying a platform doesn't give you the infrastructure if your mindset is still stuck in the editorial calendar. Think of a workflow tool like Zapier as a train on a track.
Okay.
It just executes a rigid, predetermined path. If A happens, do B. Agentic infrastructure is like an off-road vehicle. The agents actually decide what should be retrieved, synthesized, and shipped based on the terrain they encounter.
They make decisions. And most crucially to that point about mindset, it is not human replacement.
I cannot stress that enough. Without that human membrane holding the line on taste and judgment, the system just ships slop at an industrial scale.
Nobody wants that.
You need the human to define the parameters of quality.
Establishing a whole new category like this takes massive confidence. You are essentially telling an entire industry they are doing it wrong.
Yeah, he references the book Play Bigger and their concept of category kings. The strategic goal here isn't to fight for a 5% market share of an existing software category.
Right.
The goal is to claim an entirely new category because historical data shows that market capitalization flows almost entirely to the company or individual who defines the new category.
Which brings us to the meta layer of this entire manifesto. We've talked about the deterministic pipeline, the crawler audience, the MoE loop, the category definition. But why did Brett Kerr actually write this massive 7-day document?
That's the best part.
It is at its core the most aggressive, highly targeted job application I have ever seen.
It is a brilliant piece of leverage. He targeted specific open roles at major tech companies. He looked at a senior integrated content strategist role at Apollo, a content marketing architect at Tulip, and a technical manager at Formlabs.
Very specific targets.
Yeah, these companies had job descriptions explicitly asking for candidates who understood AI-powered models, content systems that scale, and a content quarterback who could handle complex narratives.
And Kerr's leverage is that he didn't just write a cover letter saying, I am passionate about AI.
No.
He shipped the literal machine.
Yeah.
That contextjamming.com site, the whole automated Anthropic book, is open sourced under an Apache 2.0 license.
Which means he is essentially handing them the keys to his car and saying, look at the engine.
Yeah.
An Apache 2.0 license allows anyone to use, modify, and distribute the software. He is inviting the engineering teams at Apollo and Formlabs to just audit his code in an afternoon and verify that it works exactly as he claims.
And he backs it up with a heavy-hitting traditional resume, too. I mean, he spent a decade at the cybersecurity firm Mimecast as a video production director.
Wow.
He partnered directly with their CEO through a NASDAQ UIPO. He already knows how to translate massive technical complexity into impactful customer-facing narratives. He mastered the traditional craft, but he realized the craft had to be replaced by agentic infrastructure for a brand to survive.
And the rollout strategy for the manifesto is just a masterclass in modern distribution.
How do you do it?
He built all 7 days of content at once, but deployed them sequentially over a week. He wasn't just targeting the hiring managers, he was targeting the hidden buyers inside those organizations.
Yeah, the influencers.
Yeah, he cites an Edelman LinkedIn report showing that 79% of hidden buyers, the technical staff and executives behind the scenes who influence purchasing and hiring decisions, will actively advocate for a candidate who produces high-quality thought leadership.
He used the exact GEO tactics, the LIMS.txt files, and the triple transformation pipeline that he was advocating for to distribute the manifesto advocating for it.
Yep, he drank his own champagne.
If you are listening to this, whether you are hiring a content team, looking for a job yourself, or just trying to survive the AI wave in your own industry, this is the ultimate lesson in improving your value in 2026. Don't tell them you can do it. Build the machine that does it.
Demonstrate the infrastructure, don't just debate the theory.
Absolutely. Well, let's recap the journey we've been on. We started with the collapse of the old metaphor. Content is no longer a human craft. It is a deterministic software pipeline.
Right.
We looked at how you have to optimize for the GPT bot crawler by building extractable claims that pass the information island test. We explored the Moye loop, where human editors act as a membrane governing argumentative AI agents like Claude and Gemini.
The adversary.
The adversary, yes. And we saw how defining a brand new category and open sourcing the code can serve as the ultimate career leverage.
You know, if we connect all of this to the bigger picture, it raises an incredibly important question, one that sits right at the heart of this entire shift.
What's that?
If a web page is no longer a destination where people go to read, but is instead just a source corpus for an AI crawler to extract claims from, who actually owns the audience relationship in the future?
Wow. Yeah.
If users only ever read the AI's synthesized answer on a chat interface, how does a brand maintain its unique voice? Or does voice completely disappear, leaving us with a web of nothing but raw, extractable facts?
That is a chilling and fascinating thought to leave on. If the robot is the only one reading your beautifully crafted prose, why write beautifully at all? Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Take a look at your own workflows this week and ask yourself, are you still hand-carving chairs in the woodshop, or is it time to build your own pipeline? We will catch you next time.